Okay, we're going to talk about quadratic functions today, just as we did yesterday. The only thing is that we are not going to be able to determine what the vertex is by looking at the function. So for example, yesterday, we maybe had something like this, where we could tell the vertex by looking at it. Okay? We won't be able to do that today because it's not going to be in vertex form, it's going to be in standard form. So just so that you can see, and you won't have to do this today, but just so that you can see that this is in vertex form, and if something looks like this, it's in standard form. I'm going to work this out. I'm going to simplify this work here. So this would be 2x minus 3, x minus 3 plus 4. I squared the x minus 3. Okay, I'm going to work this out. I'm going to FOIL this. And that would be x squared minus 3x. Minus 3x is minus 6x. Insides and outsides. So this equation here in standard form is y equals 2x squared minus 12x plus 22. So standard form, vertex form. They're the same function. Notice they have the same value of a, but you can't see the vertex, and here you can see the vertex. So your only job today is to graph a function when it's in standard form. Okay? Later on, we will change this into vertex form, but right now, all we're going to do is we're going to learn something about it and graph the function. Okay? So standard form. This is the standard form of a quadratic. Some of the same properties apply. It's a parabola. The graph is a parabola. If A, that leading term, is a positive, it opens upward. If A is negative, the parabola opens downward. Or if it's negative, the parabola opens downward. Now here's the key piece of information for the whole day. We can talk about this, why this is later. But if you want to find the axis of symmetry or the x value of the vertex, it's negative b over 2a. That is the x value of the vertex and the axis of symmetry. X equals that value is the axis of symmetry. Now, how would you find the y value of the vertex? You would plug this value into the function, and that's what this means. Plug that value into the function to find the y value. Now, one other piece of information that's kind of valuable, and you'll see that it's on this next example, is that the y-intercept is 0c, and c is that number at the end. So let's take a look at graphing a quadratic function in standard form. So here's a graph in standard form. Now, if you put it in order from x squared down to x down to the constant, you have it in the right standard form. But the coefficient of the x squared is a. The coefficient of the x is b. And the constant is c. So if you didn't have a 3 here, if that was gone, c would be 0. So there's a problem or two today where you have a c value of 0. You could have a b value of 0. Okay, so let's look at an example. So this right here has an A value of 1. It has a B value, there is no X, so it has a B value of 0, and it has a C value of 0. So you could have zeros or ones for the A's and the B's and the C's. All right, so let's calculate the X value of the vertex. So the X value of the vertex and the axis of symmetry is a negative B over 2 times A. 2 times 1, which is negative 1. So you have a X value of your vertex is negative 1, and your axis of symmetry is negative 1. So there's the middle of your function. So let's find the Y value by plugging this into the function. So, real important, you have to put this value in brackets, otherwise we're going to have some issues with our arithmetic. Okay? Anytime you square, which is what this is telling you to do, anytime you square a number, it's positive. So put that in brackets, otherwise if you were to use a calculator, which I don't want you to, it would not give you a positive, and we can talk about that later. But anyhow, the Y value of the vertex would be 2. So negative 1, 2. Okay, one question. Is this function opening upwards or downward? Since A is 1, we know that it is opening upwards. Okay? So since we plugged in negative 1, I'm going to plug in 0 and positive 1. Now, this case, 0 is really, really nice because you don't have to do a lot of arithmetic. You plug 0 in, and you get 3. And so it is opening upwards, because this is the vertex that's opening upwards. It is opening upwards, and this explains what we were talking about with the y-intercept. The y-intercept is always that C value. And so C was 3, so 0, 3. Wouldn't even need to do this. Okay? Now, by symmetry, we have another point right here. And we have one more point to do, one more point to find. Plugging in an X value of 1, we end up getting 6. So 1, 6. And negative 3, 6. So that is all that you are doing. You are graphing a parabola in standard form. Good luck.